Dave Filoni did talk recently about a lot of things, about the future mostly, but we have some reports also that Dave Filoni has the final say on basically all of the Star Wars projects ongoing right now and what's going to happen later on. One of those we are suspecting and we are hoping that it is going to be a Clone Rebellion animated show. Until I see that fully realized, I'm not going to stop talking about it because I love that idea so much. Clone Rebels fighting in the Imperial times, Rex, Cody, Gregor, all these guys against Imperial Stormtroopers, Vader, Inquisitors. Doesn't that just sound magnificent? Leslie Headland also did talk about that for the Witches of Brandok in episode 3, the brief time we saw them. It was actually the idea of Dave Filoni. He said that the Night Sisters aren't the only witches in the Star Wars universe. When you look at it, there's also a different galaxy altogether. We saw in Ahsoka that Dave Filoni took them to Peridia, which means that there's a lot more that we don't know about the Star Wars universe. In fact, I'm hoping to see what Balin will come up with in Season 2. Where is he going and what will he meet? This will be beyond witches and anything else you can imagine. So it might also be something that completely changes Star Wars forever once Ahsoka Season 2 comes. But for now, and this was said about Dave Filoni and the Acolyte, that he did give final approval for the witches and everything in between, but Dave Filoni is also doing something else, I think, in the background. Dave revealed his future with Star Wars. He talked extensively about Ahsoka Season 2, which I pretty much anticipated because it's a really big discussion right now as to what's going to happen with Ahsoka. Season 1 clearly ended with setting up not only Season 2, but he talked about also his movie, that he said the opening scene of his first directed and written movie, how the opening scene is going to be. He loved it. He said that I have basically finished it. But in between, I can't help but see hints of what's to come beyond these two other projects. Because don't forget, the original love of Dave Filoni is not live action. It's not movies. It's animated series. We know that he is the expert of those, the serialized episodical 3-episode arc of, Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Bad Batch. And now that all of these are gone, what can we expect but another series? I'm hoping it's going to be a Clone Rebellion show set during the time of the Empire, but now I'm leaning towards completing the trilogy of Tales, and it'll be Tales of the Rebellion. Think about it. The way Bad Batch ended, the finale with Omega going off, and then Asajj Ventress is still alive, the actress of Asajj Ventress, the voice actress, giving us a whole lot of information in a tweet. We're going to cover that later. So there's a lot of things in the air. There's Cody out there, there's Rex out there. There are these clones that are still fighting against the Empire, and now an older Omega joins them, and we know that Asajj and Quinlan Vos are heading the Hidden Path movement, hiding people from the Empire. With this, I think that Dave Filoni has ample amounts of material to actually go for a Tales of the Rebellion show, animated show that will feature Asajj Ventress together with an older Omega and one of the clones, perhaps Rex or even Cody. But I'm gonna do you one even better to get you convinced, to get you on board that there is another Clone Wars Z type of animation style series coming in the near future. I don't know what's going to be called, but I know that it's going to feature these 3 clones, the adventures of Rex, Wolf, and Gregor as they try to navigate through the Empire and try to save/recruit clones. Let's go immediately and talk about what Nika Futterman said. In a tweet post by Drunk Wookie, the user went on to say, I met with Nika Futterman, Asajj Ventress' voice actress, at Planet Comic-Con over the weekend. When asked about Asajj in the Bad Batch, she said, it's all very exciting, but the Bad Batch is just an appetizer for what's to come. Now, this tweet was made a couple of days ago, meaning just this weekend. The actress said not only is Asajj Ventress going to be making her return in the Bad Batch, as we see in the trailer, she is even wielding a yellow orangey lightsaber, but what's even crazier is that this is only the appetizer, meaning we're going to see Asajj Ventress during this Imperial time a lot more than we've anticipated. Now, we know that Asajj Ventress has never made made her live-action debut. So Asajj Ventress being more prominent in Star Wars content probably does not mean in a live-action series. It means in this form, in the animated version, which means that there's going to be another animated show after The Bad Batch, a serial one, not like Tales of the Jedi. Because Tales of the Jedi are mostly one-off stories that show us a more in-depth for some relevant character here and there. Not saying that there isn't a Asajj Ventress episode in the near future in the Tales of the Jedi, but she said that this is just an appetizer for what's to come, meaning that even if she appears in Tales of the Jedi, it still doesn't give us the full story of Asajj Ventress, meaning that we might not only see Asajj. Do you realize that we might also get Quinlan Vos in animated version? He appeared in the Clone Wars series, so he might reappear again during Imperial times. In canon, we still don't know what has happened to Quinlan Vos. As you can see, even in canon, there are many Jedi survivors that went off to escape the Empire after Order 66 and went into hiding. This clearly means that something is brewing inside the Star Wars animated division, especially headed by Dave Filoni. He is now the expert leading up to The Bad Batch. He was in charge together with George Lucas during the Clone Wars era. He directed Star Wars Rebels and wrote for that series, so he knows exactly how Gregor, Rex, and Wolf ended up where they ended up. In a recent interview just merely a couple of days ago, Bradley Baker talked to The Hollywood Reporter, and he went on to talk about the tantalizing clone storylines that could be further explored. Guys, he has insider knowledge. If D. Bradley Baker is talking like this, then for sure he has talked to Dave Filoni about all of these clones, knowing full well that their stories have not yet finished, not even close. So let's go immediately into the interview and then we're gonna dissect it. He went on to say to The Hollywood Reporter just a couple of days ago, he said, well, it's tantalizing, isn't it? Because a number of clones are still in play, including Echo. And he has a really remarkable story. He had a uniquely challenging story to overcome with how he's been put through the ringer when he was captured and then kind of reassembled as part machine. And yet he comes out of this with this attitude of let's get back in there and let's make things better. And people really love that. So I'm encouraged that these threads are still open for storytelling. Like what happens to Clone Commander Cody? Where does Echo go? How do clones like Rex, Wolf, and Gregor end up together and then eventually end up in a fishing spaceship on a remote planet at some point? How do these things happen? Everybody wants to know because they love these clones, and love them we do, D. Bradley Baker. And you might be jumping up and down with joy because he didn't just talk about Echo. He talked about Echo mostly, but he also mentioned, as you noticed, Commander Cody. He talked about Rex, Wolf, and Gregor. So you can see that the multitude of stories to be told from the clones' perspective during the Imperial times, them fighting against the Empire, is just magnificent. It's a treasure trove for Dave Filoni. It's an invert of the Clone Wars series. During the Clone Wars, they were the main honchos. They were fighting against the Confederacy. But this time around, no man. They are the rebels. They are the grunt workers. They need to work in secret. It's a total invert of the Clone Wars. No longer do they have the almighty power of the Republic behind them. Now they need to figure it out for themselves against that former Republic, against the Empire.